Good evening, everyone. You join me here live on the Adrian Show in our studios in London here on WilliamsTV. Now, I know what you all might be thinking. Why, Adrian, are you dressed as a banana? Well, I think it's quite simple to say that Britain has gone bananas. That's right, Britain has absolutely lost the plot and it's gone absolutely bananas. So, why? Well, just look at the state of Parliament. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, wow, look at that. We've seen the petitions getting deleted, censorship, everyone's arguing with each other, and we seem to have gone entirely bananas. And it's crazy times. I mean, some of it I can't really talk about because it's well, I suppose I can talk about, but I don't know if I can provide opinions on it because it's sort of moderation issues, and I know there's rules regarding that. But from a perspective of how things are, I can give some coverage later, I suppose. But it's gone absolutely bananas. We've seen this with the leader of the Commons, not Speaker of the Commons, the leader of the Commons, Kamala, putting forwards her foreign legislation copied from ChatGPT and Trinidad, and apologies for any mispronunciations here, but Trinidad and Tobago, which is of course from the Caribbean, so as a foreign nation, not from here. And she has she put forward this bill, and at the time everyone just thought it was ChatGPT, but it's come to light that it's also now copied over from foreign legislation, so now people aren't happy about that. Yeah, it's become a thing, and we're not happy about it. We're not happy about it. Or a lot of people aren't. And it's pretty crazy. I mean, you shouldn't be having foreign legislation here. But what's even crazier is the response. So, as you might have guessed, with any form of crappy legislation, there has been much in the way of opposition. There is a lot of opposition to this bill. It's absolutely bananas bill, and it's yeah, people aren't happy about it. But what's been crazier has been the response to the opposition. That's right. So the petition was put forwards by the Right On, who is of course the leader of the National Party, and it was a very it's a reasonable petition, calling to stop importing foreign politics into British legislation. I mean, stop copying other people's bills from different countries that are not here. We want our own legislation, not somewhere else's. And that's a perfectly reasonable opinion, I think. I mean, you're perfectly inclined to disagree with it, and I'm not saying that you can't, but ultimately it's a valid opinion, I think. And and if you want to disagree with it, debate it. Don't silence it. So what happened then? Well, it received the required 10 signatures to get a response, which it got from the Prime Minister, just sort of blatantly shutting it down as racism and xenophobia. Oh dear. Oh, God forbid someone criticise his policy. And just kind of completely ignored all of the criticism there, aside from the fact that it was retracted, a while ago, and it's like, yeah, okay, the bill was retracted. But this is an overall petition about limiting foreign influence into our legislation, and it's but that they sort of dismissed it as that and tried to play the race card rather than actually just leaving it at the response to the thing, which, I mean, there was a bit of a legitimate response in there, but regarding the bill itself, or just kind of a general response, but specific to that inquiry. It'd be nice to just see a response rather than it trying to be scoring political points for on the left for the Social Democrats. But anyway, then the petition then was subsequently deleted once it reached the required 20 signatures to be debated. It was deleted off the entire parliamentary petition website, so it's not there anymore. It's completely gone, and it's also been confirmed by the then Leader of the House, and get to the then part in a moment, Kamala, who is of course the Leader of the House, that she would not be allowing the petition to be debated in Parliament. Now folks, this undermines the very principles of democracy which this great nation stands on. And it's absolutely bananas to think that we could undermine this, because as members of Parliament, you're elected to represent the concerns of the people, and this was a petition signed not just by politicians, but also by regular people. And these are legitimate concerns that members of Parliament must debate and represent the concerns of, and obviously MPs will have their room to agree with the petition as well. I personally signed it. I know many people that did. I think it was sort of a joint effort in terms of signatures with the opposition parties endorsing it. It's 3 parties that endorsed it, it's seen a lot of support for the petition there. It grew very quickly, and it just got shut down because they didn't like the fact they're being criticised. They're trying to slate it off, and all the rest of it. But hey ho, that's all of that. I did receive a little DM from Dean earlier asking if he'd like to come on, so I will have him on in a moment. But the first thing we will just cover is this has happened as the broadcast has been going on. I've just seen that Kamala has now departed from her role as the Leader of the House. She hasn't issued a formal letter or anything, but Rita's has just posted in general news. I'm opening it up now. Oh, there is a full letter here. Okay, I'm gonna read through this. This is my first reaction as well, folks. So we'll go through this. So here we go. Prime Minister, so address the Prime Minister. It is with great sadness that I must resign from my positions as Leader of the House of Commons, Lord President of the Council, blah, 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 blah. It's become abundantly clear the last few days that I do not belong in this community or in its politics, which continues to devolve into toxicity, ignorance, hatred, and racism. Okay, so basically just criticism, because that's what you're facing here. Yes, you put forward shit bill, people don't like you for it. It is clear that the opposition has lost the argument on the merits of their policies, so they chose to resort to targeting one of a handful of black MPs in the Commons to achieve their political goals. Right, okay. Let's address that then. So we're not. Let me make it clear that as the Speaker, as the Leader of the House of Commons, this is a bill that Kamala has put forward in her role as Leader of the Commons. It's not someone else's bill, so why would we attack someone else? And she has decided to use ChatGPT and copy a foreign country's legislation to make her own bill, which has been very unpopular and has received a lot of criticism. And so she's upset that people are criticising her for putting forward such a crap bill. How bananas is that, folks? So anyway, so now she's just playing the race card, basically, and saying we're targeting one of the handful of black MPs. Well, you just happen to be black, mate. But this is your area of policy, and this is your decision. So we're going to criticise you for it. It's not someone else's. It's not because you're black that we're targeting. It's because you've decided to make this poor decision. So you're going to be criticised for that. So anyway, let's continue reading. So this is quoting her again. I refuse to continue dignifying with my presence a political sewer, increasingly debased by the Greg's Party, Nationals, and Four Stars open flirtation with racism and dog whistle politics. This is the third time I've been subjected to racist attacks in this community, and this is the last time. All right, okay, so we're playing a race card. Obviously, any genuine racism is of course not a good thing. I do not endorse racism here, but let me be clear: criticism of policy is not racism. And criticism of policy is perfectly you know, needed for democracy. Racism is not. I do not like racism. I do not condone racism. Let me just make that clear before I get some woke lefty in my DMs calling me a racist. Anyway, so continuing onwards then. In recent days, the opposition has chosen not to oppose policy, but to espouse ignorance and hatred, oh dear, instead of scrutiny. I'd call it scrutiny. I have been subjected to sneering caricatures of being, among other things, an ill infiltrator third worlder. And the entire government has been characterised as a DEI government. These are all dog whistles used by racists to generate noise and public discourse. Instead of facts, the public has been fed a steady drip of toxic, racialised rhetoric carefully crafted to sow prejudice while having the unmitigated gall to demand everyone to pretend it is scrutiny. It is racist cowardice masquerading as courage, and the socially stunted incels even thought it is good politically to craft that message deserve a dose of their own medicine tenfold. I feel like she was drinking Starbucks while writing this, by the way. She definitely sat there, in a little coffee shop, drinking a little Starbucks as she's writing this the interesting letter here. Crikey. Anyway, let's keep going. There's more, believe it or not. Oh, there's a full 2 pages here. Right, okay. This is deliberate, and it happens because nobody in the group with a conscience is willing to hold people accountable for what they say. There is currently a petition going around seeking, well, not anymore because you fucking deleted it, going around seeking to remove foreign influence from Britain. To the right on, you're allowing your reputation to be marred by racism for the sake of gaining cheap political points, and for that you are racist yourself. To Michael Rothschild, I hope you're happy that Eliza me started a black Jewish rap group chat paid off. I want the great British public to look at every single racist who chose to sign that petition to keep them far from public offices of the East and the West. I mean you harm when you trade the dignity of our country for the approval of racists. Right, so now we're attacking people, British people, the people of this nation for signing the petition. That's right. Anyone else like myself who decided to sign this petition against this awful bill, this terrible, terrible bill, is now apparently a racist, according to this woman. So, crikey, we all better turn ourselves in, folks. But anyway, so moving on from attacking the British people, yeah, it's. Let me just make it clear again. Criticism of policy, right? Okay, that's already criticism of policy. This petition is and isn't, but from the point of keeping foreign influence out of politics, that's the perfectly reasonable viewpoint to hold. I think you can disagree with it, but I personally think that we should be keeping British politics, using our own legislation from this country and promoting this nation's interest, not that of others. That's perfectly fair enough opinion to hold. Now, I don't mind debating that respectfully and with logical arguments rather than just blatantly pulling the race card, and that is what the point of debate is, and that is what this petition would do. It would trigger a debate, and debates, of course, there's always 2 sides to the argument, and I'm sure there'll be people willing to give the other side of the argument. However, just pulling the race card is not necessarily a way to do that. Now, anyway, moving on. Let me be clear, when members repeatedly frame entire groups of people as problems to be managed rather than citizens to be represented, that is not free speech, it is racism. Right, okay. History is not kind to those who believe they could ride prejudice without being stained by it. I kind of went over my head a little bit. Let me have to read that again. Frame entire groups of people as problems to be managed rather than... I think she's trying to get here... I'm not sure what she's trying to get at here. I think she means the third world comments about Trinidad and Tobago. Now, I'm not going to fully delve into that because I don't want to get censored by the deep state, but, you know, I think that's an opinion of a nation that is marked by high crime rates, and, you know, and faces corruption allegations. I don't know that much about the politics there, so I'm not going to comment too much. But from a quick little search on Google, that's what I could find out about it, and that was the little AI summary it gives you of the problems it's facing. So I think that to say that it's not in a particularly good, not a particularly safe country is a fair enough opinion to hold. And you're copying legislation from it, so fair enough. Of course, we're going to not be happy about that. And obviously, with citizens to be represented, well, that's very rich coming from you, because we are representing the citizens who have signed this petition. You know, people aren't happy about it. Anyway, continuing onwards. As leader of the House, I am expected to defend the dignity of Parliament. You're not doing that very well, are you? I cannot do so while three parties treat that dignity as expendable. And while too many believe that this toxicity in our politics is merely the tone of modern politics, it is not, it's a choice. Right, well, I hate to break it to you, love, but politics is... it's not a, you know, it's not happy, clappy, friendly, you know, nursery here, is it? You know, no, it's a brutal world, and you're gonna, if you make decisions and they're flawed, you will face the wrath of the other parties for doing so. Of course, people aren't gonna like you for it. Politics is not a place for the weak-hearted, I'll put it that way. You know, scrutiny, and all the rest of it is perfectly legitimized. I mean, you know, these are big issues. People want answers. People want to, you know, scrutinize things. So, of course, you're going to face backlash. And if you can't deal with it, then politics clearly is not for you. And obviously, freedom of speech as well. We want to voice what the people want. You know, we've had enough of watered down politics. We've had enough of all this, you know, wet wiping nonsense and lack of opposition. It's good to see things change a little bit. Now, anyway, moving onwards. I will not work in a commons where racism is repackaged as scrutiny and accountability is dismissed as political correctness. I will not lend my office to the normalisation of behaviour that would shame individuals if they were directed at any other group. This country deserves an opposition that challenges power without resorting to racist dog whistles, and a parliament that remembers that its authority derives from all the people it serves, and not just the ones deemed electorally convenient. The funniest part of this is the people whom I were told the actual race in the group have never said a cross word to me or about me. So this attack is truly rooted in ignorance and hatred. Right, so you make poor policy decision and you get, you know, people aren't going to be happy about it, right? That's just how it works. That's just how it works, you know. Anyway, I leave this office with my conscience intact and with the firm belief that history will judge those who stayed silent far more harshly than those who refused to. Yours sincerely, Camera, blah, 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 blah. Well, that was a load of waffle, wasn't it? If you haven't fallen asleep by now, I hope you enjoyed my little reading of that. But that almost sent me to sleep. It was probably the most repetitive letter I've ever read in my life. And it's a shame that people cannot have any form of spine to deal with criticism. But anyway, with that out of the way, I'll see if Dean wants to come up, because I know he's wanting to speak earlier, so I'll send him a little DM there. But There we are. Hope if he wants to come up, he might do. Anyway, in the meantime, though, until we get a little response from him, we'll talk about some other things. So, I mean, you know, that's that. I mean, again, like I said, you know, if you can't have a spine to put up with, you know, criticism, then you didn't belong here, quite frankly. And it's clear she's just taken herself out of the game. So I think that's you know, necessary. Now, I mean, look, genuine sort of stuff is you know, genuine racism, genuine hatred, all the rest of it. I'm completely against that. Don't want that here. Doesn't have a place. But I don't think it's fair to label criticism as racism. And that's a dangerous thing. That's when you fall down the lefty loon, you know, pipeline and all the rest of it. So, and I think it's subjective as well. You can't just label everything racist. You know, it's you just can't. It's not good. And you know, I don't know why you can barely hear me because my mic's all the way up. It's probably because I went a little bit quiet. Anyway, we will have Dean joining us in a few minutes as well. I've just got a DM from him saying that. But you know, anyway, in the world of politics, you know, it's absolutely bananas to think that you can just get away with stuff, and you know, if people criticize you, that means they must be racist. You know, it's not how it works, I'm afraid. It's a pretty, you know, rough world, and you've got to deal with the consequences of your actions, essentially. And so, I think any sort of yeah, it's stupid, and also the fact that people are she's accusing people of calling her directly a third worlder when I don't think anyone actually said that. I think it was just you know, I don't know. It just so I'm getting distracted by random little pings in here that I'm getting pinged for, but it doesn't belong here. Stupid politics. So goodbye, Kamala. Have fun dancing with Beyonce. I feel like Trump on this for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah. Anyway, it's a shame we never really got to hear the releases from the Black Jewish rap group. I was looking forward to hearing that on Spotify, to be fair, but unfortunately, you know, never got released. I have got a DM here from. Oh dear, I don't know. Oh, I can't read that out. I'll get taken down by the deep state. I've been sent a real resignation, which has been found by my good friend Robert, who's of course from the Four Star Party, fellow MP. He's found the actual resignation letter. Like, I mean, I can't read that out on here. But apparently she's already been offered positions in Ireland, which comes as no surprise, seeing as it is the retirement home for I don't know, it just seems to attract all the worst of the left, quite frankly. But, you know, here we are, it is what it is. But, you know, yeah, that's that really. I mean, it's a pretty long, rambling letter, should we say, from the now formerly departed leader of the Commons. I'm running out of things to say here. I'm just waiting on Dean, really, but it's you know, we gotta move forwards anyway, and hey, at least we won't be seeing AI bills being put forward again, chaps. There's always that. I mean, it is a shame that you know, people leave. I do like having you know, people to. I like having actual debates rather than just I like your criticism, so I'll call you I'll play the race card and disappear, and all the rest of it. But you know, yeah, that's that really. It's. I mean, if we go back to the petition not being debated, with the exact words used here, I mean, she accused the petition of being a racist attack, and that she isn't gonna give a platform to racism and xenophobia, whatever that means. Xenophobia. I don't know what. Actually, no. Hang on. Isn't that like cultural? Um, I don't know. I think so. I'm not sure. Um, I'm not too familiar with these buzzwords anyway. But anyway, enough of all that. I've had enough of yapping, trying to fill the last 5 minutes. I'm pleased to announce that Dean is here, so I will be giving him a little call and we'll get him on air. So we'll just wait for him to pick up, and we'll get him transmitted through into the studio, and we can see what he has to say about it. Hello, Dean. If he can hear me, I don't know if I can hear him. Let me see if I've got my. Oh,
I can hear you. Hello.
oh, that's good. There we go. That seems to be going through our output as well, which is good. But hello, Dean. You wanted to come up, so hello, welcome to the Adrian Show once again, of course, for the second time.
Yeah, hello, Adrian. Hope you're having a good day and get a good Christmas, and hopefully you'll have a good year. Good new year.
Yes, and to you, of course. But yeah, anyway, so you came up, you wanted to talk about things. I'm assuming this is referring to the whole bananas situation, as I like to call it, with everyone going absolutely nuts and attacking each other. But yeah, so I'm assuming that's what you've come on here to talk about. So what would you like to
I've
say?
seen the opportunity just to sort of come up and have any kind of conversation. Really, nothing in particular per se.
Oh, okay, I see, I see. Well, yeah. So what's your take on the whole situation with Kamala and the you know legislation being criticised, and some of the I don't know, different takes on that, I suppose.
Um, I hold the same opinion that I think Mason summed up kind of my thoughts on it all. I've got a very sort of similar opinion to him on the matter, which is very much it is all well and good to criticize the legislative element of what Kamala did. That's fine. That's entirely like legitimate to criticize, and that's politics. Um, I don't know where all this crapping on a nation state thing sort of came from, really. I think that's a little bit odd. It's a bit of an odd strategy by opposition parties. I mean, it's quite obvious that there's a lot of sort of cross communication going on that too. So, because every single opposition party is harping on the same line and barking up the same tree. So, there's they very much sort of grabbed onto the same thing there, and I don't know. Like it's really it's briefly very funny, but it's also just like who exactly is this for? Like what your aim as an opposition is to, like win people over. I don't know. I don't think this is winning anyone over really. Like from like a meme standpoint, this is like a little bit funny, but like I don't know. There was just like one tabloid cover I saw from the Sun. I think it was like the first one they made on this whole situation.
Yeah,
Um, and that one, again, I think I sent a message in political discussion saying, like, I don't know which, apparently it's Harold who runs the Sun, but Harold clearly looked at that cover and went, yeah, no, this is totally okay to publish. And it's like, no, that's tabloid is a funny thing. So that cover was that was not a great cover to publish, I think. But no, I think people are barking up the wrong tree with that whole situation. Like too much criticism of the wrong thing rather than at the actual like legislative element of it all, which I think is far more easier to criticize and the right thing to criticize, not her being from taking her name from the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago and all that. I think that's a little bit weird
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that there's an argument that someone make of, we shouldn't be importing um, legislation copied off of somebody else's from somewhere else. I mean, there's also the argument that some would also make against that, saying, "Oh, we can learn from other countries, or whatever." But I mean, I don't know if that's a country you'd particularly want to learn from. But I'm not going to delve into that too much. But it's yeah, I don't know. I thought the tabloid thing was pretty funny. I mean, could it, would I post it? Probably not, but I thought it was funny. And I can sort of see why it got taken down, but you know, um,
Hmm.
you know,
I mean, I think
it's
it was completely right for it
it's
to be
fu-
taken down. I think I know there's like 5 outstanding tickets relating to the whole situation in the moderation server. I think Archie sent like a screenshot of like the tickets he's got to deal with relating to all this as like a member of support staff. But I'm not gonna like dwell on all that moderation side of things. But I don't know. I think it was very stupid to kind of go with the line of like kind of trying to frame Kamala as like some like foreign infiltrator. I think that was really stupid. I think that was just bound to get like into trouble with like moderation. And generally, I just think that's a very nasty thing to kind of suggest. I feel like you're very easily going to fall into the trap of, oh yeah, you're criticizing someone because of where they're from or where they're taking something from. I don't know. I don't think the situation required crapping on a country. I don't think the situation at all required that. I think it was fine to just criticize Kamala for the fact that she used obviously ChatGPT to try to make legislation, and that led to actual problems with the content of the bill, in that it had like 10-year sentences and whatever for like criminal offences. That's a problem. That's right to criticize. Imagine if that passed. Imagine how stupid that would have been, right? That's fine to criticize. But I don't know. Every all this like kind of insulting a whole country thing is just a little bit daft. I'm not surprised moderation flagged that up. I'm not surprised people got muted for it. That's just like
Yeah,
just
I
find
mean,
it really
there's,
funny.
there's there's extremes to it, I think, but I mean, I don't know. I think
Mm.
when you go around saying that the entire when you put in your resignations statement that any sort of motion to launch a petition against it is just a purely a racist attack and isn't designed to actually bring about any
I think the
scrutiny.
petition was very poorly. That petition, I can't comment too much on petitions really, as like because I know I am speaker, so I've got to quite be a bit careful with that one. But the wording of the petition in itself was problematic. That was a terribly written petition, like for the purpose of parliamentary debate. That was a really terrible written petition. And so it's because we debate the petition as it's like presented. You can't like amend the petition. You can't motion to amend the content of like what you're voting on basically by the end. Obviously, it's a symbolic vote, it's not binding or anything. But that petition, when it gets to the Commons, we're debating it based on the wording that we get. Obviously, it can be used then to build upon that and talk about like ChatGPT legislation and whatnot. But inherently, that kind of petition making it to the House of Commons, I think it would be well within the Commons leaders' right to disqualify it on the basis of it is inappropriate. It was inappropriately worded and presented, I think. I think it would have been far better for Write-On to present it as like again, harp on more about the chat GPT thing. That's the angle I would have gone with. But I don't know. Again, that just kind of comes back to my point of like I think they barked up the wrong tree with that whole debate.
I mean, yeah, I think it was. It's definitely it came across as a bit of a Michael Rothschild Greg's Party post the way it was written, but I still
Yeah.
think I don't think we should be. I mean, it's a petition. Why it may have funny wording, but I still think that if people sign it, I mean, it had over 20 signatures, was getting signed relatively fast, not just by politicians. If we look at who was signing it, sure, there was some politicians
I
in there,
wouldn't I
but there
wouldn't
was
be
people
too
in there as
I wouldn't
well.
be too impressed by signatures getting high numbers these days. There was a petition to remove that. There was a like peer, and that got about like 90
Yeah,
signatures or so. So it's like I wouldn't look at the numbers of petitions to try and justify the content. Like I don't think that
well, that was more of a
that
joke,
stops
whereas
being
this
relevant.
one's this one was
Yeah.
a bit more serious. I mean, everyone just signed that because it was funny. Whereas this is like, um,
I would
you
argue they
know,
also signed it because it was funny, because
it was part. It
you
was.
know what the wording of that petition was. Like, you know that was like a very memey petition that was obviously, I think, trying to put forward a legitimate point about using like ChatGPT to kind of parody real life legislation that doesn't actually really be compatible with this community. Again, legitimate point, but then twisting it into like, let's shit on this country. Again, it kind of just comes back to that, in my opinion.
I
So
mean,
it's like,
I think
yeah,
I think it was. I mean, there's probably definitely a bit of political point scoring going on there, but I don't think that you can. I don't think it fully constitutes as entirely just a like sloppy joke. It has legitimate concerns in there, and I don't think it should be, fully just shut down for that. I mean, there's there's still a legitimate concern there, and it can still be debated. I mean, the person who put it
I
forward
think
is literally a member of parliament anyway, so he can.
I yeah, I mean, here's the thing, yeah, that like I'm gonna be genuine here. It's obviously like a bit of a political stunt, which is why I kind of think it's still a bit bizarre to word the petition as it was obviously presented, but whatever. It obviously a lot of the people who signed these petitions, from what I think I saw, were like MPs and so forth. So, dare I say, if people wanted to present a petition regarding the subject matter, there's provision in the standing orders for that to be done. I think it's like, yeah, you can present debates as an MP. That's something you can do, and they get scheduled on Sundays. The petition side for MPs doing it is like more to just catch attention and whatnot, which this petition has done that successfully. But then I'm not exactly going to give too much like I'm not going to give too much credit to like the crocodile tears of certain people kind of saying, "Wow, they deleted the petition," when it's like, if you really want it to be heard, you can just table it like as an MP, right? And you can do like a cool like open letter thing. Like you can do other things. Like, don't whinge about the petition being deleted. I don't know what happened with that, to be fair, but the petition itself, like that again, petitions are debated based on the wording that they literally arrive at Parliament in. They can't be amended from that. We literally debate, like, when it gets put on the agenda, we use the wording that is used by the person who tabled it. So that wording appearing on official parliamentary documentation would have been very weird. I think we can agree. So again, I'm not surprised why the Commons leader is. I think they've like thrown it down, and it's not going to be debated. I think it's being disqualified on the basis of inappropriate content. Um, yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not too surprised.
I think you can debate against it all you want. I mean, I'm personally of the opinion that pretty much every petition should be debated unless it is genuinely just a very obvious joke like the donut one, but and not to waste people's time. But I do think, if you put a petition forwards, even if it's you know got got interesting wording, you can still debate it. And if it's designed, even if it's a stupid point anyway, then it's not going to go very far. But
I
it's good to
mean,
have conversations and debates about things and concerns rather than just chuck them under the
well, I mean, if they
bus.
want to do that, they can just present it as an MP. They can just table it like that way, which is why, like, right on. If he really wanted to, you could just table the debate like right now. He could just put forward a debate as an MP. Like, I don't think you need signatures for it. And I'm going to be honest, he's a party leader. I think he can very easily get like 3, 4, 5 signatures, something like that. I don't think it's that difficult for a party leader to get that. And if it is, then it's a bit concerning. But yeah, I don't know. Again, I think it's just crocodile tears at this point. I'm not too sympathetic on the point of the petition. At least it was very clearly like a joke one, and now there's just a bit of whinging about that particular petition. I think if it was worded differently, I'd have a bit more sympathy, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, okay then. So whilst just on the subject of petition, what do you think about in the resignation letter of Kamala, where she just
Hmm.
outright accused everyone who signed it, including just regular British people, everyone who signed it of just being a racist. But that's literally what she put in there. What do you think about that?
I mean, I haven't read the resignation letter, to be fair, so I'm not able to kind of give you a valid opinion on that. I could take your word for it, but I know where you stand on the issue, and I'm not going to take your word for it. So, what I will say is, based on what you have posed for me there,
If you want,
um,
I can read you it out word for word. I do have it here with me.
that would be very bad for our
Okay.
audience because they will get bored very quickly.
I will give you
But
just this little bit here. She says, "I want the great
give me the
British
line, yes.
public to look at every single racist who chose to sign that petition and keep them as far
Mhm.
from public office as the East is from the West. They mean you harm and are willing to trade the dignity for our country for the approval of racists." That are the words she used to describe the people who signed it.
That's some pretty hard writing, I'm going to be honest. But then again, it could be ChatGPT. Comedy aside, comedy aside. No, I get along with Camla. I should quickly say that. Comedy aside, I wouldn't go as far as to say people who sign that are just racists. I imagine quite a lot of people sign that just the kind of shit stack. That's what most of the people who signed the donut dev petition did. They just signed it because haha, it's funny. But again, I feel like a lot of the rhetoric coming from like your own party and from like the Nationals and whatnot, again, with the continually shitting on like an entire country kind of thing, that I take a bit of problem with, and I wouldn't be surprised again if moderation action that accordingly. But and they're pretty sure they have been. Uh, but I wouldn't say that like every person who signs that is like an evil racist who should be expelled and should be shot and killed. I wouldn't go that far or anything like that. Not that Campbell was suggesting they be killed or anything, but obviously
Hmm.
be kept away from public office. Um, yeah, like I wouldn't go that far personally, but I can kind of see where like she's coming from in that. Yeah, I think she has a bit of a right to be angry, like a tiny bit. I like again the rhetoric that's been coming out since this happened, but I'm not gonna like constantly repeat my words on like again how they're barking up the wrong tree to begin with and started like shitting on a country. Pardon my French. Crapping on a country instead of like actually attacking the more AI side of things, which again I think that's the far more criticizable point, if that's the right wording.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's pretty much all I had for you, Dean. So thanks for coming on, and I'm sure we can. Uh,
I have just
oh,
seen so I've just seen a Greg's post come out
oh
here.
yes, I've seen that as well. Maybe we can go through
And,
that quickly if you want.
on a quick comment, I will say, by the way, parties, please stop doing the bulk posts. They bore me to death. Like, if I was a voter, I'm not reading all this.
What do you think about
Go
what
back
do you
to
think
like
about my CapCut
colourful
edits, Dean?
posters. They are. Some of them are good. Some of them are arse. No offense. Some of them are good. The one you did a Pokemon, that one got a good like chuckle out of me. That one,
Yeah.
in my opinion, that's like my favorite by far. That one, that was art. Well done. But like a lot of the ones where like you're trying to gas up for start, those ones are cringe. Please stop doing them.
Yes.
Like man to man, please stop doing them. They're cringe. But like the ones where you're like the Pokemon one, more of that, please. That's hilarious.
Okay, we'll bring forward more of those. I do get a lot of mixed feedback on those. Some people hate them, some people love them. I did have a Westbridge gang try and say that they would take me out in Westbridge if they saw me in there because my edits weren't tough apparently. But yeah, so
Happens.
I do have the Westbridge Roadmen after me after of course following their corner shop visits to get their vapes and terrorise the
I
housing estates of Westbridge on their bicycles after their year 8 classes.
I,
But
I do feel the need to do a bit of like a BBC Verify thing here because obviously I'm reading through the Greg's post and I do see the bit where they talk about Kamala after claiming that Michael created a group chat to promote the work of successful Black Jewish artist Anissim Black. Um, I have the need to repeat the findings of the BBC Verify investigation, which was that the GC was created originally as like a standing order a reform GC that Kamala created. The discussion clearly descended from there, or at least it seems Kamala, like from what I've read of the GC, Kamala and Michael had a bit of a back and forth. Kamala, I think, then sort of disappears at a certain point. She was obviously still in the group chat, but like goes offline or something, and then it just descends into memery. And then Michael added, I think, Michael added adapted, and then I think it just spiraled from there. It became the meme that is obviously now the Black Jewish group chat thing. So I feel like the need to kind of verify that because I feel like Michael is not the like Kamla's not the reason that group chat ended in memery. Neither was Michael necessarily, but it was definitely tomfoolery by certain individuals in that GC. Um, that was then screenshotted and ends up in the news, which is annoying. But yeah, I feel the need to verify that because I'm seeing it come up quite a bit now in like the criticisms of Kamala, and I don't think that's fair because that's already been like I hate to use the word debunked, but that's already been addressed, and like I don't know why that's coming up again.
All right, okay. Well, that's yeah, good to have you on anyway. And I'm
Yep,
sure I'll
all
see
good.
you on here again soon. As
Most
drama
likely.
often happens within the community. But yes, anyway, thanks for coming on. Have a lovely rest of your day and the rest of your year, I suppose, because it's only a couple of days, isn't it
Yeah,
now? So
a
yes,
couple of days. It's only like one more day of the
well,
year,
that's
to be
true.
fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, thanks, Dean. Take care then.
Yep. Take care, man. Bye.
So, yeah. Okay, well, with that then, that's Dean we've just had on. So interesting to hear his views on things and the bananas conundrums that the nation is facing. I do have another guest who has been wanting to come on. So that is none other than the one and only Mr. Bruce Ismay. I'll give him a quick little call on Discord and see if he picks up. And we're going to be talking about some various things. I'm not sure what he wants to talk about. We'll probably, presumably, relating to what we've been covering on here. And he hasn't picked up yet, I don't think. Oh, here we are. Hello, Bruce. How are you doing then?
I'm good. It's been a while, Adrian. It
It
has
has
been a
been.
while.
It has been a while. It's good to have you on.
Right.
So obviously today the biggest drama is the whole issue with Kamala and all the
Mm.
rest of it. What's your take on all of that?
Well, look, Adrian, I've been in Kamala's position where, you have basically every party criticizing you. I have been in that position. So I can't really say, I can only say that I do feel bad for Kamala and the way she's been treated. In my personal view, look, I'm not very, look, I have really kind of retired from, the political side in SOBS. I'm now the foreign minister in Ireland at the moment. But I do know is that, people, I mean, it has the politics in the server in SOBS has always been toxic, and it does get to a point where it can get very, very personal, Adrian. And I just don't think it's very fair to her, in my view.
I mean, there is the argument that that is also sort of how politics generally is to a degree. I mean, if you look at sort of real life parties and everything, there is
Mm.
also
Yeah.
it's not an easy world. You do face a lot of criticism.
Yeah, yeah,
I've seen that myself. Other people do. I mean, but some definitely have it worse than others. But
yeah.
there is,
Well, look,
it's part of the job.
Adrian.
Um,
Look, Adrian, why don't you also? I also have been looking into the 4-star, and if would you mind if I ask some questions about that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, your party seems to have criticized a lot about the Social Democrat government, if I'm correct.
Yeah, indeed we have been.
If you don't like it so much, why don't you stop supporting them?
Well, we don't really support. We supported their what's it called? Their King's Speech.
Program for government?
We voted that in because at the time it was the choice of either them or a Greg's national
Hmm.
coalition, which we weren't particularly happy with at the time. Although the way things are at the minute, I'm not sure which one's worse. But um, I think what's been
Yeah.
going on. I mean, with sessions and so on, we have been voting against most of their bills. There is very little in the way of
Hmm.
support from us, we vote against all of their There have been a few times there's like a handful of bills we voted in favour of, but generally we're not the only opposition parties to do so. And
But would
of
you say that the Soc Dems have lost the trust of the people?
yes, I would say they've definitely lost our support, and they've probably also lost the support of the people as well.
Well, I mean, hypothetically, you could just call a no confidence motion whenever you really liked, couldn't you not?
We can, however, the issue is as well is obviously it's the holidays and everything in a minute, so
Yeah,
there is a general consensus amongst not just the Four Star Party but the other opposition parties, who we are sort of beginning to work closer with, like Greg's and Nationals and so on, and even, well, we used to have quite good relations with Solidarity, but that's disappeared. But you know, even the feeling's the same across everywhere that we can't just force the UK into an election at the minute. Will we have an early election? That remains to be seen. I'm not sure whether we're going to see that or not, but it just depends how bad things really get. But you know, at the time, it made sense just to give them the confidence in the King's speech, provided that they meet our demands.
Yeah, well, look, I am going to say that, Adrian, over the past while, I don't personally agree with 4 Star as much as, before. I don't think, in many regards, and this is just coming from my personal opinion, that the way such as like Davos has acted is just not up to a standard where I would expect them. And I don't mean any, personal criticism to you. I just disagree what you guys stand for, if you understand what I'm saying. But I would have to say, to be honest, I actually, for the very first time, I actually don't have any party I would actually vote for in the general election. Normally, I would vote for someone, but I don't. I actually don't. I might even vote for an independent, since they're being allowed, I believe.
Yeah, there's 2 ballots, so you get 1 vote on the first one, or you can spoil it, of course, and then the second one is your independent candidate that they've introduced, or smaller regional parties. But yeah. Anyway, continue.
Yeah.
If you've got anything else.
Well, look, obviously, I think Kamala has been mistreated, in my personal view. I mean, yes, politics is quite toxic. I get that. But I just think a lot of people just ganged up on her. I mean, look, ChatGPT, yes, there was a bit of criticism there. That I can give kudos to everyone who criticized that, because you shouldn't be using ChatGPT. But the problem is, I'm sorry, I'm still a bit confused about the triad story. Would you mind explaining a little?
The triads.
Sorry, the story that's basically forced her to resign.
Oh, yeah. So basically, I mean, obviously, this is going to be from my perspective as the 4-star chairman and member of parliament, and all the rest of it. So there's things I may not have access to. But basically, a long time ago, well, I say a long time ago, a few weeks ago, she put forward this bill. I believe it was the anti-corruption bill. She used ChatGPT to make it. It was evident by the £1 million fines proposed and 10 years in prison and all the rest of it. And the fact it's still referred to Her Majesty the Queen. So that was criticised a lot for being AI at the time, and it sort of died down a bit. I believe it was yesterday. Where are we? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Reuters came forwards and was like, this is the this bill has been copied from Trinidad and Tobago, which is of course a Caribbean nation, not British or anything. And she'd been copying her legislation from there. There's all backlash there because it's like, why are we using legislation from a country that's not the UK? And some of it, was probably more than I would go out of my way to criticise her. But I'm a personal believer in freedom of speech and all the rest of it. So there was a lot of opposition there. It's a
Well,
pretty...
it does, seem that you, Gregs, and Nationals have actually worked together to oppose the government. And, honest, but say as a hypothetical, a motion of confidence was raised and it failed, and there was an election.
Oh, it's lagging a little bit, I think.
Oh,
there
sorry.
we go. So, yeah, so if the motion of confidence went through and there was an election, would we... Sorry, that's where I got up to.
Would you coalition with Gregs or Nationals at all?
I mean,
Or even...
that's not as unlikely as it was last election. I think the door's
Oh.
open to it, but we don't want to sell out our party. So it really depends on the circumstances of things.
In all fairness, Adrian, I'm now the Minister for Foreign Affairs in Ireland.
Yeah.
Since I've returned, and a Michael government will lead to even more conflict in Northern Ireland. I mean, more unnecessary conflict. And I mean, look, I just think that when you have a prime minister who unilaterally declared an emergency in Northern Ireland for no exact reason, and then ordered an invasion. Wait, was it Michael who ordered that?
It wasn't really an invasion. He sort of put it in his letter, but he didn't go ahead with it. I think there were incursions over the border, but only after the Irish initiated attacks over the border. So he sort of retaliated.
Yeah. But I do still have to disagree on that as an Irish citizen. But I do think that we need to end this war. It's time to end it.
I mean, if you've been to Middletown lately, it's a lot quieter than it was. I think it's just sort of... I don't really know what's happened.
I mean, the whole hype
kind
of it.
fizzled out.
The
We've
whole
got
hype of it.
two different governments now, isn't it, on both sides? So...
Well, yeah, and the war was fun at the start. I mean, look, it did bring activity, but now the activity after so many months of this conflict, I mean, there's no real end to it.
I don't know. I forgot it was even still ongoing. To be honest, I thought it had already ended already. I suppose it hasn't formally or anything, but I guess they've just completely forgotten about it.
But if I could just finish on the Kamala thing.
Yeah.
I just don't think the way she was treated was fair at all. I mean, look, using ChatGPT, in fairness, that has to be criticized. But I don't think that everyone should have been going after her for personal reasons. It did, in my view, what you said about the group chat, and it does seem like it was kind of personal, in my opinion. Look, I have been in her shoes before. I have been basically attacked and humiliated like that. And again, I can, actually actively, say, sorry, I am just out of words today. But I can understand what she's going through, and I can just say that she was very, 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 very unfairly treated. But look, I mean, Adrian, we have to be honest about Northern Ireland too. Let's just not forget about that, because all the hype is down for this war. Activity is slowly going down. I mean, a couple-week war, that's fair enough. It brings activity. But I'm not... And the Irish government's not going to apologize for defending ourselves from incursions by the British. But I think the big problem is that, it's time for a peace deal. Yeah, would you agree it's now time?
I mean, I think it needs to be put to bed, really. I think it's gone on for a while. I used to be quite against it starting up in the first place. I then spoke with Chocolate, who is, of course, the previous foreign secretary. He was foreign secretary at the time.
Yeah.
And got a bit more of an insight into the actual discussions that happened prior to it. And from the way Leah was acting, if I recall correctly, you're no fan of Leah yourself. I think it was... Yeah. Like, no, you don't like her.
What did I do?
No, I said, if I recall correctly, you're no fan of Leah myself. Like, I'm just...
Oh, right. Well, look, I mean...
but she was... the way she acted during that, I can see why the government went the way they did. I don't think they were left
Well, look,
with.
obviously, we have to understand that I am not a fan of Leah. Obviously,
Yeah,
I don't agree with her
yeah.
previous government. Under my campaign in Ireland, I made a slogan where I would not. I made it very clear that I would not for the Sinn Féin group, Sinn Féin as a whole, and I kept to my word, and I joined with Bo and Fine Gael. But I think, it has been a good start. I've been meeting a lot of leaders across the world, definitely trying to, build back Ireland's reputation across the board. And, I am kind of glad I'm not in soft politics anymore, to be honest, because I don't miss the toxicity.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, it's I can, yeah, I don't know, the whole war thing.
Mm.
It's Yeah, I think it has reached a point where it ends. Obviously, Leah's not a problem anymore. She's not in government.
Yeah.
The new Taoiseach, she was a four-star proposed cabinet member at one point. So I think, and I remember
Mhm.
her previously serving in national governments and so on, and she seemed fairly
She
decent.
was actually the Speaker of the House for a very short time.
Yes, that's correct. I don't think I was sort of around when she was, but I have heard of it and seen it in
I
archives and
actually
whatnot.
was
But
there when she was Speaker.
she's
I would, yeah.
fairly decent. I think she's a lot better
Yeah.
than
Yeah, I mean, she is
Leah
decent.
was.
She's
So
good to work with.
the point of the war as it was,
This is
it's
Michael
gone.
Rothschild's war. It's not.
It's not really a thing
Yeah,
anymore. At the time, circumstances I think were very different to how they are now. So should it end
yeah.
now? I mean, I think it's gone on for long enough. It's kind of died. That you can't really bring it back. If things kick off again, I mean, it depends on the circumstances. I think at the time when Sunnyson's came into office, it was reaching its twilight days. I think the way it kind of ended was very weak. I think she should have been more hardline with Lear and gone. These are our demands. Uh, meet them. And Lear sort of was like, no, fuck
Yeah.
off. And then she kind of just left it at that and didn't really stand up to Lear. So
Yeah.
I do think she failed there. But it has kind of died off
Well,
since
look,
then. So there's no point in bringing it
obviously,
back.
yeah. Yeah, and obviously, I think overall that look, to be honest, Adrian, if there was a general election, I can't see who I would be voting for because none of them are going to stand up and say, "Look, this war's gone long enough. Let's end it." None of them have said that. They've all just said, "We'll stand up to Ireland." What exactly have we done to have? I mean, look, we have in the past tried to negotiate a peace deal to bring peace to Northern Ireland. That, but obviously, it was very difficult at the time. But to be honest, Adrian, it's sorry, I cannot speak today. But we desperately, I think we do need to have, I mean, even if between Michael and Sunnyson's, there is, I mean, obviously, I would prefer Sunnyson's over Michael Rothschild. I do not like him one bit, as you remember, if you remember, Adrian.
Yes.
But look, honestly, I probably will be voting independent by the next election.
Hmm. I mean, yeah.
Because honestly, I don't think any of them. I don't think any of them deserve it.
Hmm. I mean, if we go, I think with the whole war, at the time I think it was justified. Now, is there any point in continuing it? Not really, but people aren't talking about it so much anymore because it's not really like a thing. So I think you'll
Yeah.
find that's why it's not getting talked about because it has
Mm.
sort of ended, just not on paper. And it was never formally a war
Yeah.
to begin with, mind you, so there is no sort of
Mm.
process for ending. It was just skirmishes, and we pulled out of an agreement, which we haven't gone back into. But I think the UK has sort of moved on from it. There's, enough problems at home happening that politicians are focusing. I mean, if we look through all the party channels, what the opposition parties are talking about is, um, you know, scandals as they happen. So at the minute it's the whole thing with Kamala. Before that it was the budget.
I'm
We've
sorry.
seen
What exactly? There is a question about the opposition I would like to ask. Why are they saying Callum Cathcart is the secret prime minister of the United Kingdom?
right. Okay, so this is actually quite interesting. I did write an article about this earlier today, but I'll explain it. And
Hmm,
this is an issue I've been quite vocal about myself. I've also talked about it in Parliament.
right.
But this comes from my own personal dealings with the Social Democrats. So just to give people a bit of an
Okay.
insight, at the time of the election, um, you know, before start, we'd had enough of the Rothschilds, we'd had enough of Michael, had enough of Greg's, and we were like, okay, well,
Yeah.
we've got two options here. The Social Democrats came to us and were like, look, we want to form government. We obviously won the election, but we form a minority, right? So we need your confidence. They actually invited us to coalition, which we obviously turned down because there's no way we're being a part of any of that.
Hmm,
And we also turned down a formal coalition, confidence and supply agreement like Solidarity has done, which is how they were able to get
yeah.
in. But we said, we'll back your King's speech if you meet our demands, whatever, and we will, you know, vote and stuff if we think it benefits our interests. But on that, we're just going to keep true to
Yeah.
what we believe in and our values. So we had those discussions
Yeah.
with them. Then the government formed, and there was all these discussions for a long week about the King's speech, all headed by Callum, backbencher MP, all the rest of it. So he was heading
Oh, he's
all.
back.
Oh yeah,
He's back in politics.
Callum's been back since October.
Oh,
Around the time
wow.
I launched the channel, actually, around the time I came back to the UK, sometime in
Hmm,
October, he was a national security threat, for those unaware, from December until October. The reason why he's only a backbencher is because basically, because he was a national security threat, even though he's had it appealed, the fact that he was one means he cannot legally hold any great offices of state. So he can't be in the
hmm.
cabinet, basically, or prime minister or anything else.
Even if his NST was removed.
Yeah, that's the law. He can't. He can appeal it so that he can be in offices of state again, apparently.
Oh, and speaking of national security threat, I actually was made one in Ireland for for politically motivated reasons. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that. I was also made one for just
Yeah.
being a member of parliament for the Four Star Party, apparently.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, Leah made me one because, apparently I had affiliations to the party where as you remember, I had left, obviously for differences with, the Northern Ireland conflict. But look, I mean, I did successfully appeal it and we won the case. I was able to be removed. Um, and obviously, look, I I wouldn't say Callum, in my view, would be like Shadow Taoiseach. Sorry, I'm mixing up Britain and
No worries.
Ireland here. Jesus. I wouldn't say he would be, secret prime minister, because honestly, I would think that the government would be so busy, trying to reorganize itself. There wouldn't really be, anyone trying to pull the strings from the back
Right, but
back rooms.
if you look at things, all our dealings as an opposition party have all been mostly led by Callum. Sonnesence has been on the group chats and everything. There's been a bit of involvement from Jam, but
Yeah,
he's just kind of he doesn't speak in voice chat or anything, so he does it all by text, which is fair enough. But it's only to
yeah.
do with his area of concerns. But all of our when we went through the King's speech, we sat there with Callum of all people. He went through it, changed it. He said, "Oh yeah, that bit's crap. I don't know why that's in there," and he'd change it. And he's been a very prominent member within the Social
Hmm,
Democrats as of late. Obviously, he's not in cabinet. He definitely would be if he was able to. I mean, he probably would have made
yeah.
himself the leader officially. I think the only thing that's keeping him from, the only thing that's keeping him in the shadows is the fact that he has to be by law. Well, obviously, he doesn't have to be controlling things, but he wants to, run the show. And it's quite apparent. I mean, if you look at Sonnesence as well, she is a very weak prime minister, in my opinion. She doesn't take a very loud
Well,
stance on things.
obviously, as a foreign minister, I can't say anything about that,
Yeah,
and because I don't want to.
that's fair enough. But I will, from my sentiment now, that's how I see it. And he's obviously taken advantage of that, and he's having a lot of influence over their policy. He's had a lot of influence over decisions they've made, and he's been very vocal, member of the party, and very vocal in terms of discussions with the opposition. It's not just that thing where it was us; it didn't stop at the King's Speech. When we were negotiating them with the budget, for example, again he was in all the group chats talking quite a lot. It was sort of us, him, and Noah, and a little bit of Sunnessence. But I find with Sunnessence, when she's negotiating with the opposition, she occasionally offers like one or two like stupid little comments, or just like completely where was it earlier Osex was criticizing her for not bringing in the liaison committee that she said she set up temporarily until they brought in a replacement 1 month into the term. She hasn't done that, and she just replied with a little gif of Mario Kart Daisy dancing about. Didn't give an extra reply or anything. But Callum has been very much the vocal voice of the Social Democrats when it's come to dealing with us, which is honestly the role of the party leader. When we speak with opposition parties, it's always with their leadership, not some random backbencher.
Yeah.
So I think she's.
But can I ask?
Yep. Go on.
So, after when New Year's is done and over, will you likely put any motion of confidence votes into the next government?
I don't know. We'll have to see. It depends how things go. I personally, as me as the member of Parliament for Suffolk, am I going to? Probably not. If someone else puts someone forward, is 4-star going to back it? I can't say yes or no, but it's highly likely that we would. I think, just for the sake of it. But it really depends how things go. I mean, we said at the start of the term, it's certainly a possibility that we put in or support a motion of no confidence. It really depends how badly things go. I'm not too impressed with the way things are going. I did predict that they would go this way, and I think it's going to continue. So I think an early election is definitely possible, and given that we're sort of almost beyond the holidays and everything, that impossibility will increase. So I mean, we discussed it at the start of the term as well. We were like, we might just stick it in sort of midway through, and we're pretty much midway through now. So I'm not going to rule it out. I won't confirm that we will.
Yeah, well, obviously that's fair enough. But look, Oisin, I think right now I'm kind of speaking here as a political expert in the server, that when you have mass resignations, when you have people that have been kind of where you have people who are going to say, make these petitions online, make the government look bad. I don't see a second term, in my opinion, coming from that. Look, I mean, I'm not speaking as a representative of Ireland. I'm just speaking as like a normal human being who has been in the thick of it, as you can say.
Yeah.
And but I just don't see that there could be I probably won't be a social democrat government by the next election. I mean, the government is surrounded in scandal at the moment, with even the rumors that there could be Killian. Apologies, I don't know what is wrong with me today. I feel like I'm mixing Ireland and the UK up today. My apologies.
No worries.
But I think, I just don't think there is. If they want change, if they want to win the next election, they got to make massive changes. Maybe even trying to avoid scandal for the next while. Try to avoid, public, scrutiny. Definitely try to pass any meaningful legislation they can use in their little ammo machines that they can use to fight the next general election. What I would say is that, when there's a government that's in crisis, if I were prime minister, I would probably just try and pass legislation that would be meaningful to the server. Maybe that would be a way. But at the moment, I do think that they are in some way in quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I think things are.
And look, I mean, yeah. I mean, look, we've seen way worse scandals than this. Let's be kind of honest. And people can recover for them. They can. But I don't see it if, I believe many ministers have resigned. That's what I've heard.
There have been. Interestingly, they've mostly been from the Unionist Party. Now, 3 out of 4 of the Unionist MPs, 3 out of the 4 of the originally elected Unionist MPs have already resigned.
Are you kidding me?
We've had Cam
Jesus.
Ducks. He's gone. Not a bit of that. He just left because I don't think it was to do with the situation. He just left. And then Jaden, he didn't like the way things are going. He was their deputy leader for the Unionists, so he wasn't happy with his party. And then ABB or whatever left days it, or literally days or even a week into it, because he didn't like the coalition. They're not the only ones as well. Hemsworth, he wasn't an MP. Wow. He was previously, but Hemsworth, who was their graphics guy, he was an MP last term. He probably would have been one this term as well, but he defected to 4-star on the day of the election. So he'd be doing all the graphics for them in the campaign, and just went.
Oh, I did hear that. I did.
He's in 4-star. He's our campaign director now, and he's going to end up. He will likely
an MP.
Yeah, he'll likely be an MP next term if we get an extra seat for him. But yeah, that's where things are with that at the minute. But yeah, there's been a lot of defection, a lot of unionist casualties lately.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, it does seem the unionist little political winning machine is starting to slowly, probably not the only one who thinks that, but I mean, look, I mean, look, things can change. I mean, when is the next election, like, if there wasn't any, motion of no confidence?
I think it would be, I think they're 2 months apart, if I remember correctly, so it would sort of be late January, I think.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, look, they have till almost a month coming up now. No, actually, it's exactly a month now, isn't it? Since today is the actual 30th.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But, well, look, I mean, obviously, they have time. We're just trying. I would say, rebuild like some essence of a campaign. Bring in new people. Bring in your friends. Bring anyone you can think of who can campaign. Can DM and say, look, we're the unionists. Here we are. We want to be in the next government. I mean, look. I mean, there is an opportunity for them to rebuild. Is there a new leader?
No, actually there is. Drac is their new leader. I have a bit of respect for. He seems like a fairly decent bloke. He's definitely a lot better than Cam was, from what I can gather. I don't know him that much personally, but he's a name I've seen before. He was a big name in the party during its glory days under TBU and all of that. So he's quite sort of an old unionist stalwart, basically. So I think they do have an opportunity here. It's kind of like it was under Xbox, where it looked like things could be going in a better way, but I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, Xbox.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, Xbox did. I actually did. Like Xbox. I thought he was a decent enough guy. I think he could have helped the Unionists win the next general election, or at least make a surprise comeback. But it does not look like it's gonna be a good night for the Unionists on election night. But I think, look, there's still time for them to recover, so we'll have to wait and see. How has the Nationals been doing?
The Nationals, and they're kind of just. I think I find with the Nationals is they just kind of plateau. There's not. They don't really say much. The Right On is kind of. I see them as a bit of a one-man band in some ways. The Right On is very much their best asset. I like what's he called? adapted Frost. Oh, he got banned. But he was all right. He's one of their lords. He's been somewhat vocal, but and then their chairman Pokemon is a little bit
Oh
special.
God, not him.
I think everyone collectively across the political sphere, it doesn't matter what party you are, I don't think anyone actually likes him. So yeah.
I don't. I actually met him when I was, in the Pirate Party. He was the chairman. I think he was the chairman at the time. Maybe something else I can't remember. But I found he was very rude and obnoxious. Never really liked him. I just think that he didn't. I mean, he can come across as kind of an ass. He can't come across that. I mean, look, there are a lot of people in Sovs that can just be jerks for no real reason. I mean, even if you're trying to be nice and trying to have a good time in the community, that's kind of what spoils it for many people. If you can see where I'm coming from,
Yeah.
just that, But look, I mean, obviously, the right on, you know, we've been old friends, haven't spoken to him in a while, but I think he could definitely be the kingmaker in the next election. It could possibly be.
Mm.
So I do know what happened in Solidarity, but it's kind of been,
Oh, that's gone down
bit
the
of a
toilet. It's gone down the toilet.
yeah. I do look. I like Zach as a person. He's a good guy.
Yeah, it's
But
funny. I like, when, at the start of the thing, we got on quite well with them.
mm,
I like him as a
yeah.
person, but he is literally like the biggest dictator of a party I've ever seen, and he's very easily rage baited, which is quite funny. The Solidarity 4-star relationship was just us rage baiting the Solidarity Party, and his
Mm.
meetings with his party leadership, from what I've been told, was literally he just shout at 14-year-old kids. That's literally what he'd do, and you know it's kind of just become a bit of a joke within the community, the Solidarity Party these days. But again, as I said, he's all right as a person. I've sort of got on with him in the past, but I haven't really spoken to him in a while, to be honest. I don't think he was too happy when we sort of called him out on all the stuff he'd been up to.
Yeah. I mean, look, and Greg's. Let's talk about Greg's for a sec, because they're kind of the biggest elephant in the room. Do you, think they have a chance in the next election?
Yes, but I don't know about win, but form government. Yes, I think again with 6 parties, either way, it's going to be a hung parliament. So we're going to rely on coalitions here a little bit. I don't know whether they'll be able to get a majority. I don't think so. I think
No.
they might be able to beat the Social Democrats, or someone else overtakes them. It's really interesting.
Honestly,
I think we're
yeah.
likely to see opposition gains, definitely. I think Solidarity will lose a lot of votes. I think Social Democrats will lose some votes. I don't know about the Unionists. I thought they were. I thought they were going to collapse, to be honest. But they might have a second chance under Drac. But I think a Greg's coalition with the Nationals and potentially 4-star could happen. But it's really interesting because with 6 parties, it really just depends on who gets what and what parties want a coalition and which ones don't. It could even be a minority government. It really depends. But I do like
Yeah.
their deputy leader, Chocolate. He's a pretty solid bloke. Get on quite well with him. He's been the face of the party quite a lot, actually. I would not be surprised if Michael ends up resigning and he takes
Who
over.
is in the face of the party?
Not Chocolate Plays. He seems to be the face of it at
Mm.
the minute. So in some ways, I wouldn't be surprised if Michael ends up retiring at some point, given he's been in the game for quite a
Well,
while.
in all fairness, he has said he's going to retire and then magically come back and try and be prime minister forever again. But I mean, look, honestly, if there was a alternative person in Greg's, like say there was a new leadership, kind of fresh that didn't have any baggage from the past, then yeah, I would consider voting for them. But at the moment, I just don't think there is anyone really to support, if you get what I mean, because you have. And, I just think, it's time for change. It's time for change, and it's time that actual leadership comes back. I mean, though I don't really think Harold Rothschild was, a good prime minister, I did think that the Unionists after Michael did provide some sense of stability, if you can get what I mean, because the good, part about the Unionists was that under anyone else but Michael, there was actual leadership. There was actual, what do you call it?
Yeah, I mean, I used
Stability.
to be a candidate for them under TBU. I thought TBU was a pretty solid leader at the time. I think there's a lot of it's funny. There's a lot of people in 4-star who actually are ex-unionists. The only person
Yeah.
in our party headquarters who hasn't been a member, as far as I'm aware, is Rob. Although he might have been, I don't know. But I mean, Davis was their leader at one point. Osex and Hemswright used to be MPs. I used to, campaign for them and stuff. So, in their heyday, they were a great party. But I think those days went a long time ago because the sort of in crowd of the Unionists sort of departed. Harold was sort of the last of the old guard. And then the Greggs party just sort of made it irrelevant because Michael was obviously one of their biggest names within the Unionist Party and the Conservative Party before that. And so it sort of replaced it, but just with, I don't know, its own thing. And then obviously the Unionist Party is these days is a little bit irrelevant. But I mean, Drax again, he's a name from the past, so I don't know what he'll do. We'll see. But that's kind of my take on it. I don't think that they're going to be going anywhere huge too soon. I think they're kind of a bit of a lost cause, and they don't really have much substance anymore, whereas they used to back in the day.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, if you can agree with me here that Michael Rothschild is kind of a divisive figure in this country's politics, because you have, when Michael was in charge in many regards, it was, I mean, can you really say he did anything? And I mean, in the last term when he was prime minister, he just tried to cause this skirmishes in Northern Ireland to help him win the election, which of course failed. But I don't think he would make a good another. I mean, we've had him; he's been prime minister almost, I would say, like 60% of the time in the past year. So if you can agree with me here that it's time for someone else, not just another Michael Rothschild term.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would personally prefer for the Greggs party would be to see Chocolate take over as their leader. I think he's a great guy. I sound like Donald Trump, but he's a pretty solid bloke.
But
and
well, I mean, look, you are saying that
if we had the Greggs party under Chocolate and they asked the coalition with the 4-star, I mean, I'd be fine with that. But it's Michael. I got mixed takes on him. He's had a lot of problems. I criticised him a lot, and I stand by that criticism. But in some dealings I've had with him as well, more lately, with opposition stuff, he has sort of brought words of wisdom. He's quite good with his private sector sort of stuff when it comes to looking at the economics of things. He's got a lot of insight there and a lot of experience and all the rest of it. That's
well, yeah. Well, I mean, look, Adrian, I'm gonna leave it here. Because I think we've talked for like 40 minutes now.
Yeah, this is true. I think this is the longest airing of the show I've had so far.
Yeah, but look, I'm gonna leave it here, and I'm gonna say to people, if you don't like the options, just vote independent. That's all I'm gonna suggest to anyone here who is actually, saying I don't really like any of the candidates. I mean, yeah, sure, you have the option not to vote, but even if you wanted to screw over all the other major parties, just vote independent. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you so much for having me, and please stop ignoring me, Adrian. It's so mean when you don't talk to me anymore.
I'll speak to you a bit more in future then. But so I have been quite busy lately with holidays and so on, and girlfriends and
Fair enough.
family and whatnot. But I am
Yeah.
coming back into Psalms a little bit more now that that's all died down a little bit. But yes. Anyway, it's been good to have you on here. Great to speak again. Good to hear your views on everything.
Thank you.
And yeah, take care. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Merry, happy New Year, and everything. And take care. Right, bye now. Right, well, that was Bruce is me on here on the Adrian Show. And that's kind of everything I've talked about. I think this is the longest airing of the show we've had so far. We're at an hour and a half, so if you're still here, thanks for watching, I guess. But yeah, very long show. Britain's gone bananas. And, you know, I've had enough of all this woke lefty crap and bananas nonsense from the left. But thanks to those who came on today, and thank you all for watching. And before I do go, I will give some exciting news about WilliamsTV. Firstly, we've expanded operations to the Falklands, so I was supposed to put this in, but I forgot to. But our content will be accessible to the Falklands, and we might bring on some coverage of events there. And also there is expect a special surprise going into the new year. Expect things to change a little here on WilliamsTV. Exciting programs coming up, and expect things to visually look a little bit different. But yeah, that's it. So thank you for watching. I've been Adrian here on the Adrian Show with WilliamsTV, live from London. Thank you for watching, and have a lovely, wonderful rest of your day. And probably for the last time, thanks for watching in 2025. Because I don't think we're doing any broadcasts this year. So thank you very much. Happy New Year. And yeah, we'll see you in the next year probably, unless anything dramatic happens tomorrow.